Welcome again to another edition of A Little Perspective. We are here for take two with Miss Annie Sanders. Annie and I chatted some about domestic violence, and the conversation kept going. I do like to keep these short so that I can keep everybody's attention, and so I asked her if she would come back and record a part two. So here we are. Perfect timing. We are in February and we are talking about Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And Annie Sanders has a nonprofit, Safe Haven Domestic Center. And we talked a little bit about that last time. And so this time we're going to talk about Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month and the red flags, what to look for, what teens should look for in each other, what parents should look for in the teens, and that sort of thing. That way we can make sure that we are taking as good care of our babies as we can. So thank you, Annie, for coming back again. I really appreciate it. This is the first time I've had a part two, so, kudos to you.
We're doing it.
So tell us a little bit about, tell us a little bit about yourself in case people haven't caught part one, and then tell us what Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month is.
So my name is Annie Sanders. I started my nonprofit back in 2017 for, right now we're a resource center for domestic violence victims, survivors. We are looking to, of course, the ultimate goal is to have a campus for the victims to be rehabilitated, and it's just like any other condition, I guess you can say, because you have to be able to rehabilitate yourself and to have that treatment and to be able to get back into society. It's a long road, so we want to be able to help them in the crisis sector of it, and then of course help them transition and move forward. So with Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, of course, usually the national month for domestic violence is October. So that's the National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but they do have a separate, I guess, awareness month for teen dating violence, which is very high. It's a 72%, of teen relationships are experiencing some form of domestic violence, which is actually really high. I mean, it's 72%. It is running rampant, and a lot of mistakes. I don't want to say mistakes, but a lot of red flags are introduced during that time, whether it is known or unknown for the victim or the perpetrator, depending on which one. Sometimes these teenagers don't even know, they don't even realize their actions if they're not told, that that's not okay to be that way, or basically try to stop it before it gets too far into adulthood, and then that becomes a part of their personality, versus trying to catch it early, whether your teenager could be, like I said, the perpetrator or someone who is being victimized. I feel like that's going to go a long way. And here we are in Teen Domestic Violence Awareness, Teen Dating Violence, Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month for the month of February. So I'm excited to kind of make sure we understand and know how we can help our future out by not going down this path of abuse or being abused, to understand what a healthy relationship is. So
absolutely, yeah, 72%. That's
72%.
way higher than I ever would have thought, and it's so key, like you said, to stop it now on both ends, on both the abuser and the victim, because personality, like you said, it becomes your personality, and then it becomes your traumas that you carry with you into future relationships, repeating the cycle and all that kind of stuff. So do you think that that number is so high because of teens, I was going to say children, but teens mimicking what they see, or do you think it's hormonal, or why do you think that number is so high?
So mainly, as far as I know, everybody, the studies show, most of the time the studies clearly are correct, and because they're gathering data, but a lot of, they don't necessarily talk about how it mimics their home style, their home, their life that they're seeing, um, from relationships that, maybe whatever the dynamic is in the home, because you can't always say, the mother and father, because somebody could be raised by their grandparents, raised by, foster parent. It varies. So you can't necessarily say mom and dad or just their biological parents, but um, a lot of the actions that these teens possess is actually from seeing behavior. Nobody really wants to talk about it that way. They want to say, oh, it's from TV, it's from video games, but a lot of times it is the unhealthy relationships that they are seeing, that they're mimicking, and they think that that's okay and that's how you're supposed to be. um, and of course I've gotten the cases where the parents will say, well, we've never acted like that, and that usually is the case. It's just, um, sometimes it's majority of the times it's learned behavior. So, and by the studies already being, one in every three households reported, and like we talked about before, it's not always reported. So imagine that, and how many households this is actually in, to where these teenagers are picking up on this behavior. So
Mhm.
I would, in my unstudied opinion, I would say a lot of it is definitely from household.
And I
Yeah.
think, it's so easy, and I'm speaking from firsthand experience, it's
Mhm.
so easy to say that's not how we do things in this household and mean it. Like you mean it, but that
Mhm.
doesn't mean it's true. That doesn't mean that that's honest. It's just your truth because you have been in a 25-year marriage and you've chosen to continue things this way, and you found ways to adapt or what have you. But that doesn't mean that your kids aren't seeing it in a different light and seeing it for what it truly is.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. I've
yeah.
had to deal with that on my, I had to deal with that reality myself because, um, if someone were to ask me, of course I hid mine. I hid it. I never told anyone. I never reported anything. So I thought my daughter was being protected. I thought my daughter had no idea what was going on. She was also very little, fairly little. I left whenever she was 4. I wasn't 4. I left whenever she was 4. So I figured there's no way. She doesn't know much. I know she may have witnessed a few things, but I thought I protected her, telling her to go somewhere else or anything like that. But we can't be oblivious to that anymore. These kids, they're very intuitive. They know what's going on. And you basically trying to, compensate and pull from that and say, well, I know what my child has seen and not seen. There's no reason why they should be acting like that. It's like, no, they know and they see. And even if, they could hear it, just the tension
Feel it.
alone, they could
Hmm.
feel it. Just the tension alone, they understand what's going on. So we can't count them out and say, well, I know I protected them this way. They don't know. They do know.
Hmm.
And we have to make sure we are very aware of that and not, as a parent, you don't want to be the one to expose your child to any type of violence or anything negative. Um, but it happens, and you have to actually make those decisions and have those conversations. Like, okay, well, like I said, I was in denial for a long time. Like, there's no way my kid knew that. And so, her therapist said, yeah, she knows a lot. And you would be surprised at what she knows. And it's like, no, 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 she did not. I told her to go in the room. It's like, it doesn't matter. They're gonna know. So
Yeah.
we can't do that anymore. We can't be oblivious to it. We have to, understand that our actions are most definitely trickling down to the children and what's going on in the
Hmm.
house. So
A
we have to be
great
careful.
example of that is on Red Table Talk. Jada and
Hmm.
Willow were talking, and I don't remember what episode it was, but I think they were talking to a counselor and a therapist. And Willow talked about how, so Jada and Will, they would not fight, like they wouldn't yell and scream and fight. they would actually talk very quietly. And Willow talked about how that still affected her. Like,
Yeah.
they thought that they were doing something magical by not yelling, which obviously being quiet is better than yelling. I'm not
Of
insinuating they're
course.
equal, but
Yeah.
it doesn't, it's still impactful. Like, it still
Mhm.
affects the children. And so it's great that these kinds of things are coming out. Something we talked about the last conversation was how so often it's assumed that when we talk about teen dating violence, that it's a boy abusing a girl, and now we're starting to see where that's certainly not always the case. So what are your thoughts on the female being the aggressor?
So that has always actually been very evident. It can be comparable to sexual assault. Uh, in all honesty, not many men are going to come forward and claim, my spouse is abusing me, my wife is abusing me. It's more. I mean, I feel it's more taboo than domestic violence in itself and women reporting. So I don't want to speculate what type of reasons. Of course, a lot of it is, they feel like their masculinity is being affected, and if they say something, then they could be considered soft or not knowing how to handle their spouse or whatever the case may be. But um, I had a really good friend who was an abuse victim, and it was kind of, when law enforcement was alerted, it was not believed
Mm,
more so than when women report. So I can understand it being very, very it's hard for them, but I think we're getting to more of a point to where more men are actually speaking up about abuse from their
mm,
spouses, because they know that there won't be any repercussions of, retaliating against them, fighting them back. It's because of, whatever morals and that they have. They're not gonna try to defend themselves because it's a woman. I mean, it's a little sexist to say, but it's true.
yeah,
So
yeah,
um, it's a lot. It's a lot for them to do that, but I think it's starting to change. You're starting to see more reports coming in. And I'll have to say, it literally happened after the Me Too movement, whenever men started to feel more empowered to come forward about assault that they experienced as children. The domestic violence reports started to increase as
yeah.
well. I want to say it was about 30 to 40% of male
Oh
reported.
wow.
Mhm. After that, after it was, of course, it took a little bit, but it actually, I want to say that that movement actually helped
Yeah,
more victims come forward about being abused by their wives or women,
yeah,
ladies.
yeah, yeah.
So,
That's
yeah,
great, though. That's excellent. That's
it is.
wonderful to hear that movement it served the purpose it should have. Like,
Mhm.
that movement was not about, or should not have been sex specific. It should have been about
Right,
abuse in general.
it is,
Um,
most definitely.
so the phrase toxic is a buzzword, that's going around now, and everybody uses it. Oh, you're so toxic. And of course, as with most buzzwords, it ends up being used incorrectly and, just thrown around willy-nilly when it really has a powerful meaning. So how do you have any suggestions on how to differentiate someone who, what's an example of someone being toxic, I guess, is a good question to ask.
An example of someone being toxic, someone that's who's a habitual liar, who continues to um, manipulate situations that for a fact are what they are. You know the facts of the situation, but they try to change what is true. That I feel like that is toxic behavior. Toxic behavior is basically, it's all honesty, every red flag there possibly is kind of correlates with toxic behavior. So I do know what you're talking about. I have seen that a lot on social media lately. People saying, well, my toxic trait is, I don't wash dishes, or my toxic. And it's like, I don't think you're not, You're not using that word right because we don't want to trivialize what is actually meant by someone being a toxic person.
Mhm.
So it is, I do feel like people are toxic. We have toxic work environments that can be hostile. So I would prefer, when I see that, it's like, we can't trivialize it because it kind of takes the power out of it.
Right.
Um, like the boy who cried wolf kind of thing. I hate to
Right,
compare it to that, but once
right.
you take the power out of it, no one's gonna listen to it anymore. No one's gonna
Yeah,
actually believe what you're saying. You know, hey, I'm with someone that's toxic, and it's like, it could be laughed off, like, oh yeah,
yeah,
it's
exactly,
toxic traits. It's
exactly.
not. No, 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 no. It's actually, we don't want to trivialize that word. I've seen that. I was like, you brought that up though. Because I have seen it
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
lately. I didn't know how that happened.
Do you think that, um, that toxic behavior is a good way to begin to recognize red flags? Because to me, like you mentioned, gaslighting, which is trying to lying and trying to convince somebody that you're telling the truth, even though dadgum good and well it's a lie, to the point where in some cases it can make you start to feel like you're
Mhm.
crazy. Like, okay, maybe I didn't see what I saw, or maybe I didn't hear what I heard,
Yep.
because they're so good at convincing you.
Mhm.
So, while that is not physical, that is not name calling, that is not insulting, but that could still be considered abuse. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is. And a lot of the times it's not, they even may try to pass it off as they don't even know that they're like that. They have no idea what you're talking about. That's just, um, again, it's you. You can sit there and tell somebody that, you are actually gaslighting. You are exhibiting these traits to me, and this is what I've known, this is what I see. you know you yes, you did grab my leg a little bit too hard. Yes, you did that. And then it's like, no, no, I didn't do that. And so then you start to say, well, I know that literally just happened 3 minutes ago. I know how I felt in that moment. Now they're telling me that I'm wrong. Don't let anybody tell you that you're wrong, because then that's whenever, once they get that small in, then it manifests and it will become something bigger to, something so big as, nope, that didn't happen that way. You said I hit you. Oh, okay. No, you're being dramatic. I didn't hit you. What happened was I bumped into you. And it's like, no, 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 no. I know for a fact that you actually grabbed me and, forcefully, pushing up against the wall or something
Mhm.
like that. So they can try, once they have an end, it's, they will always, always do that. I still don't understand why, but that they will do that. They are, like I said, it's learned behavior. They know
Yeah.
how to manipulate people,
Yeah.
and they're okay with
Yeah.
it, which is the worst part.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing that it can evolve into is jokes. Talking
Mhm.
like joking about your weight or joking about your friends, or and then it's you can't take a joke.
Yeah.
So that is another evolution of gaslighting, and
Yes.
that really starts to delve into much more abusive territory.
Mhm.
Weighing on your emotional and mental state.
Yeah.
Um, so, what are some red flags that teens can look for in one another that are actually toxic and not just toxic?
Right. Like, it's not toxic. So, what is actually toxic? One of the biggest things right now, because I think I want to. I know I've said this before, but excuse me if I said it on the last video. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
Um, we're in the digital age. Everybody's got a phone. Your phone is your privacy. Your phone is yours. So whenever a partner tries to control your phone, wants all your codes, wants all your passwords to your emails, to be able to read your text messages, all these different things, um, and some teens may, I mean, even grown people do this, but may be more inclined to say, well, you should trust me. Um, here it is, just to calm them down. But that is actually none of their business. You know, you should not have to give up your oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Your individuality, who you are, your privacy. You don't have to give up your privacy to make someone else feel comfortable. Either
Mhm.
they are or they are not. That is not your job to make them feel more comfortable about, I guess, trusting or anything of that nature, because I know you probably feel like, well, there's no reason for this person to not trust me, so I'm going to make sure that they understand that I have nothing to hide, and it's that's not your job. Keep your phone privacy to yourself. That is one of the biggest hurdles that teens are dealing with right now. Another one is, trying to have control over what you wear. Making comments about clothing. I know that is very prominent in teen dating. One or the other gets upset about what your appearance is, and you are trying to look good for somebody else, or what kind of attention you're trying to attract, and you shouldn't want to look like this around anybody else but me. And that's another thing that is not anybody else's job to fix. If your partner cannot get on board with, how you are, and 9 times out of 10, it's, you know, there was no change. Like, this is the person that you've already met. I've already looked like this. So what's the problem now?
Mhm.
Don't start changing yourself for someone else's comfort. They were
Yep.
comfortable enough to start dating you with the same attire. So
Yeah.
there should be no problem. Of course, that's another insecurity issue with teens. So there's many, many more. Let me see. I have my list here, so I have to look off for a second.
It's fine.
Another thing, of course, is isolating you from family and friends. That is a big one. That happens in adults as well, big time. Mine, I'm just going to throw this out there. Mine happened um, my last year of high school, first year of college, around that time. And there was something wrong with each one of my friends, each and every one of them. There was a negative connotation that was behind the name. Like, a name is said, oh, you're talking to her. Isn't that the friend that blah 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 blah? No, that's not what I said. And it's, well, I bet that they're doing this. I bet that they are like this. I bet that this is that. Why do you want to associate yourself with someone like that? Your friends are fine.
Yeah.
Unless you have a direct problem with a friend of yours, do not let your partner tell you how your friend is or isn't. We always, we can always hear it, and it's like, okay, well, if that's your opinion, that's your opinion. But this person is important in my life, and it's okay. And they even try to do that with your family as well. Tell you lies
Yeah.
about things that they've spoken to your family about, and it's a but you believe it because they're your family, and you don't want to be combative with your family. It's just kind of like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, that was another mistake that can be made. So, of course, physical harm.
I wanted to say something. So I
Go
am obsessed with, or was obsessed with, the show Bling Empire on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's trash TV in its finest,
I haven't
and
seen it yet.
it's so good.
I
it's
got
it's really not even that trashy. I really like most of the people on the show. They've turned out to be really good people. But this one beautiful lady is dating the Red Power Ranger, and he is trash. He's a
Okay.
freaking narcissist, and
Mhm.
she is all wrapped up in him. And there's one scene where they all went to Paris together. Three friends went to Paris together. Them two and a friend went to Paris together. The
Mhm.
two girls went out shopping while he was at the hotel room. He woke up and they were gone. She didn't want to wake him up. She was letting him sleep. There's time difference, all that. He is screaming at her through the phone about how he can't believe she left, blah, blah, blah. Her friend is like, hello, that's not okay. So
Mhm.
then fast forward, to, of course, she stays with him and tolerates it. So fast forward to the friend talking to her about it again, and he's nearby and hears them talking about it. And granted, the friend's not saying anything, like she's not being all, you need to leave him right now, but she's
Right.
just talking to her about it. He goes on and on to the girl about how, why can't we just be, why isn't our relationship just us, why does everybody else have to be involved, why? And so the girl ends up lying to all her friends about him and what's going on with them, because he's convinced her that their relationship is just between them. And while I'm obviously not saying that you need to tell everybody your business,
Right.
but that's also a huge red flag when they want to just hide you away, keep you to all to themselves, never go out, never do anything. That's because they're afraid of being seen for who they are.
Yes.
And I think that that could easily happen with teens, because you get in that puppy love, let's just be together and it's just us and it's so wonderful and all that kind of stuff. And so the seeing that played, that was such a trigger for me, Annie. Like I was furious. I was like way more angry than I ever should have been
Yes,
over a show of people I
yes,
don't know. But it was a trigger, it
yeah.
brought something out of me.
Yes. It's like the nerve. Okay, no, 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 no. We're not gonna do that.
Mm-mm.
So it does a lot of that. It, even even dealing with clients, or just talking to people that I've encountered, and unfortunately they are in this type of situation. Um, and it's almost like, like you said, a lot of them been married for 25, 30 years, and it's like, and they've been that way since they were teenagers.
Mhm.
So a lot of that, like you said, it's in the puppy love stage, and they feel like they need to be together all the time, and you start to change your schedule completely, and you kind of dismiss your friends, and it's mm-mm. You have to make sure you keep that. I don't want to say keep it separate, but if your partner is not willing to kind of um, learn more about you, be a part
Mhm.
of your life instead of making them the only part of your life, that is a
Mhm.
huge difference. Everybody's got, we talk about individuality here often. you know my spouse's friends are not all, my friends are not always my spouse. You do it, a level of individuality is really, really good. Like, you don't have to be friends with my friends, I don't have to be friends with your friends, but
Mhm.
to be I am your world, and that's it. And we can't go down that road, because it will be, that's toxic. That is actually what will, um, once the isolation happens, it's hard to gain that back in
Mhm.
your mind.
Mhm.
Your friends and family will accept you, if you've ever gotten into a situation or find yourself in that situation. But once you start to experience that trauma, you think in your mind that, for one, you're embarrassed, and you don't know, you've said all these things, you made all these changes, you've probably cut some people off, and now you're afraid to reach out to them, because now it's a level of embarrassment that
Yeah.
and it becomes a cycle of, well, now I can't say anything. So we want to
Mhm.
prevent, and that's another thing with the Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. We want to prevent it from even getting to that point. Being able to have a voice to say, you know what, I'm not okay with this. This relationship or this partnership is not. Um, it's not going to work for me.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you know how it is in that, at that age, it's like you start dating, and it's, well, this is it. They have this level of, what were we doing? But they have this level of, if this isn't working, then I have nothing.
My world is
That's
over.
the end
Yeah.
of it. That is
Mhm.
it. And you have to understand, that's why I call it a partnership and not necessarily a relationship, because I feel like that's a little, especially with the age. Um, when the teens are not all the way developed,
Right.
so it is a lot harder to make those types of decisions, or feel like, this is just a little stepping stone. It's okay to let this go, but not many are
Mhm.
willingly able I mean, we were all there.
Yeah.
I remember,
Yeah.
like, this is
Yeah.
This is horrible. But yeah, it can get tough. But
Mhm.
just in the physical harm, of course, physical harm is there is never an excuse for it. There is never, well, I just got mad, or you just upset me, or I didn't really hit you, or I didn't. Okay, stop telling people that I hit you, or don't stop saying that I hit you. I barely pushed you. You know,
Mhm.
um, hands in any type of aggressive manner. It doesn't
Not
even have to touch you, even
no.
coming towards you,
Yep.
throwing things,
Getting in your face.
get in your face, of course. Like all of these actions are definitely, some of them lead up to it. Um, I
Mhm.
want to say basically all of them because I experienced them all before
Mhm.
I actually got the physical portion of it. I
Mhm.
experienced the throwing things, the getting really close, the with the finger in your face, and it's like
Mhm.
you've done
Well,
all that.
it's all a test, right? Like
Mhm.
it starts with, gaslighting, and not that didn't really happen, and then
Yeah,
it's the you can't take a joke, and then every time you tolerate something, then they graduate,
they
and
graduate.
it's bigger and
Hmm.
bigger, and then then it comes to the aggression, and then it's not pushing you but coming close to pushing you, then it's pushing you, then it just graduates, and
It
snowballs
does.
until you end up with a black eye and you're scared for your life.
Hmm.
um, so you just have to realize that if you don't stop it, then you have the potential of ending up in the ER one day. And it's never too late to stop it. Like, I mean, well, it could be, but up until you're dead, it's not too late to
Yes,
stop it. So
of
that you
course.
can always turn back and say, I'm not doing this
Mhm.
anymore. But that you're guaranteed that that's how it's going to, it never, if somebody is doing that at the beginning, it will graduate.
It will graduate. It will
It
always
will
manifest. It'll
absolutely
always get
graduate.
worse.
Mhm.
Like, I actually had this conversation today. Mine got worse all the way up until, the last couple of weeks to when I finally left. It was almost like, I was being told, I'm going to kill you. It was like, you said that before, but it feels different. This, like, I think you're serious this time. And it was, I got to do something. I
Oof.
have got to do something. It becomes that, and then it becomes a now they're looking through you. It's like it's hard to describe it, but it becomes a point of I've got to make a decision. Either
Mhm.
I'm going to end up this way, or I'm going to be probably scared out of my mind. But I
Mhm.
have got to get myself out of this situation. Better yet, I have got to get my child out of this situation. This is not
Yeah.
okay. You've
Yeah.
always known it's not okay, but you've made excuses for it. You've made,
Yeah.
there's many ways to kind of justify, but there's never any justification for someone putting their hands on you. And even emotional abuse does not include physical harm, but it will scar you.
Mhm.
I don't think people understand that. It will scar
It's
you more
worse.
so. My
Mhm.
scars have healed. It's the
Mhm.
emotional portion of it, to where that is something that you still have to work on, and you have to
Mhm.
understand, like, um,
Yeah, PTSD is real, and
it
you don't so often it's just associated with war bats, which is obviously valid, but post-traumatic stress syndrome simply means after a stressful,
mhm,
incident, and emotional abuse is just that. And when
it
you
is,
start so young, being either in either role, either the abuser or the victim, then
mhm,
you are setting yourself up for a real struggle,
you are.
for
It
sure.
becomes harder. It becomes harder. Like I said, my situation was a little over 10 years. It does become really hard to, I don't want to say the longer you're in it, the harder it is to get out, because you don't, everybody's time is not measured the same way.
Yeah.
Everybody's situation is not the exact same, although it is all textbook, it is not the same. So you can't compare, um, you know, I can't compare my situation as to
Yeah.
yours. They're all different, but they all, of course, have the same effect on you, mentally, of course, big time. Like I said, my scars, majority of them have healed, but it's the constant reassurance, the constant, um, you are always in a constant state of threat, and
Mhm.
it's
Fight or
and it
flight, yeah.
weighs on you. Yeah, you hear a sound or smell a smell, or
Yeah.
um,
The kids drop
don't have your
something.
glasses on one day and you see somebody and it's like, I, I know I just seen, so you gotta, it's something that you
I
always
don't
have
mean to
to,
laugh, but I laugh because I get it,
you know
like,
what I'm talking about. You start to,
the
hey,
kids
I
drop
know.
something and you jump 10 feet in the air because
Hmm.
and and then you yell at them and then you feel bad because you yelled at them because it's not their fault, they're kids, and yeah.
Yes. And it just becomes one of those
Yeah.
things that you have to find your coping mechanism. And that's another reason why I wanted to focus on teen dating violence, is because like it's better to kind of stop it at the head before it gets too bad. Um, and I've said it before, I knew all about drugs and alcohol and safe
Yeah.
driving and everything else. Bullying, I never heard about this ever
Mm-mm.
growing up. I never heard about it in school. Like, not one person came and spoke to us about it.
Mm-mm.
Everybody go to the assembly, everybody go to the gym for the presentation, but none of them, not one single presentation, was telling
Mm-mm.
me about dating violence. I
Mhm.
had no idea what was happening to me until I was I was in it. You know what I mean? So until I was thousands and thousands of miles away in another
Yeah.
country, and it was like, oh, that's what this is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I
What
didn't
are
know.
some red flags for parents to look for in their kids, and being in either role, whether their kid is the abuser or the victim? Because I tell you what, if any of my kids, if I see any of them being an abuser, they
Yeah,
going,
it's time for a talk. It's time for
yeah,
more. It's
yeah.
time. We need to come here. We need to sit down. And I think that is really. I'm glad you said that, because as parents, we have to. They may not always like it, but we can't necessarily expect for them to be able to navigate all of it by themselves, especially
Yeah.
when they become teenagers. It's almost like, I get it. My daughter is, she's skating on that line. She's about to be a middle schooler. Um, I know it's not, it's not what I was looking forward to. But she's about to be a middle schooler. Not saying that she's allowed to date in middle school, but she's going to start seeing all of these different types of situations. These, because some parents are. I'm not at anybody else's household. All I know is mine. Some parents will allow it. I remember, friends of mine having boyfriends, or having girlfriends or whatever, and it's like, these conversations have got to start happening, and they have to start happening early, and hopefully parents can kind of, if you know that your child could potentially be an aggressive, and that's something that we need to kind of, you can't
Mhm.
expect for them to deal with it on their own or grow out of it. That's not something that you grow out of. That's something that actually kind of sticks with you, and you have to, hopefully, I mean, we're all kind of navigating parenthood as best as we can. So I can't say, yeah, we have to do this, but we need to make conscious effort to,
Yeah.
guide them through it, and not expect for them to just figure it out on their own, because it's almost, I've heard this a lot. A lot of my friends say it too, I would much rather for my child to hear it out of my mouth the correct way than out of somebody else's mouth in a way that is not going to be helpful to them. It's going to harm them more than
Mhm.
anything. So some of the things that parents can look out for is, their grades dipping. That's one of the biggest indicators. Um, Skipping school, you start to realize that they could potentially be skipping school a lot. Their appearance starts to change. That's one of the biggest ones. Like I said, it could be someone who always dressed up, who always wore earrings, something so simple as always wearing earrings and then not wearing them anymore. Um, not saying that that's always something that's going to be a reason,
Right.
but just kind of paying attention, just being really, really observant of their behavior and the reason why their mood changes. I know this one probably might be a little hard to navigate. Teenagers are moody people. I mean, even my 10-year-old right now is moody. It's like, Okay, well, what is it today? Um, but you have to recognize the moods too. Sometimes, I don't want to say sometimes, a lot of the times, whenever you're being abused or you are the abuser, a lot of anger comes out. So let's say, I mean, when I was a teenager and this was happening to me, I would snap at other people and it would
Mhm.
be very aggressive and you know, it was Annie with an attitude, but that was my outlet. You know what I mean? So like that type of behavior, and when you know that that's not how your child normally acts, don't chalk it up to, oh, they're just being a moody teenager. Moody teenagers always, for the most part, have a reason. Um, Even like I said, my moody 10-year-old, although I feel like she's just crying, just to cry, like, what is going on? I feel like it's just, she's being a moody preteen. Um, but I've started to ask, what is the reason? A lot of times they'll say, I don't know, or it's nothing. Then you just kind of got to go through the list of, okay, so that didn't work. So now I have
Mhm.
to get them to talk this way. And well, what bothered you today the most? You have to start to break it down so that they can
Mhm.
get it out. I'm not an expert in therapy at any by any means, but whenever someone is experiencing any type of discomfort or I don't want to say trauma because that may be a little bit too extreme, but you just don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody's level of trauma is different than a level of mine.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, my puppy is trying to get in here. So if you hear her, she's just she's she's being needy. But
That's fine.
some
Therapy could
others,
be a good tool to use though. There are more child therapy, teen therapy is becoming more common and more insurances are supporting it and really, I mean, if anybody needs therapy, it's teenagers. Like, so, if the resources are available, which of course is a whole nother topic, then that could always be something to consider as a parent when you're not sure what's really going on. And of course, sometimes the teen doesn't want to talk to you or,
right?
doesn't want to open up to you. But if you have concerns, then a
Mhm.
therapist could be a good avenue to take, actually.
A lot
Mhm.
of kids look at it as they're protecting their parent whenever they don't say anything. It's I don't want to bother them with something else
I
because
just
of course they see our level. They see us go up and down in emotion. They
Mhm.
see it, they live it every day. So a lot of the times it's, I don't want to add something else. And
Yeah.
that's why I try. I mean, we're not all, nobody's perfect whatsoever. And so I try to keep that line of communication open with her that I didn't even experience as a child. So it's always, we can talk, let's talk about it. It's not, well, you need to suck it up and get it together because
Mhm.
we don't have time for that. So
Right.
I try to do that, but my daughter's, like I said, she's 10 and she's been in therapy since she was 4. There's
Mhm.
always good to let them have that outlet. And if you can't afford therapy, it could be something so simple as an aunt or an uncle,
Yeah.
just another body to
Yeah.
kind of release. So
Mhm.
another thing that parents, oh, this is a really good one. Always making excuses for their dating partner. So and so, no, 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 he didn't yell at me or she didn't yell at me. It was only because of this. It wasn't what you think it is.
Mhm.
Um, if you have that feeling about your child's partner that they, are in this situation with, then more than likely it is accurate that something is going on. And you
Mm.
need to probably dig a little deeper. If it sounds like an excuse, it is, kind of go with that. Don't necessarily let them trivialize what is going on
Mhm.
because like you said, it's the gaslighting, then they'll be okay with the next one, then it's the next one.
Mhm.
So we have to be careful with that too. And so we're making excuses for their partner's behavior that is subpar or what you of course feel that your child deserves, in a sense of like, I know I just heard somebody yell, or it just you just
Mhm.
never know. You never know. So don't um let's try not to allow our kids to trivialize
Yeah.
bad behavior from their partner.
Right. 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 What else? Any other red
That's
flags
it.
parents should
What's
look
another one?
for?
Um Actually
The big ones.
those are the big ones, being secluded, trying to withdraw. But okay, I will say this before anything that happened to me in my teenage years, I was always, kind of reclusive at home in my room. I mean, that's just what a lot of teenagers do. So I wouldn't freak out, if your teenager is, being a recluse in their room a lot. I think that's just part of the it's a part of the process of being a teenager. But if it becomes excessive and them not really wanting to be around anybody, especially if it wasn't like that before,
Mhm.
that's whenever you look. If it was always like that, then I wouldn't make a big deal about it. But if
Sure.
it's just the
It's
actions that
drastic
change
difference.
everything. The drastic difference. We all
Mhm.
evolve. We do, but it's the drastic difference. If it doesn't feel right or sound right, it's probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think, what's that phrase? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So I think having these conversations with them ahead of time, like I try to start having, which teenagers don't want to hear it. They don't want to have the conversations, but we as parents have to do it anyway. They don't want to hear about the birds and the bees, but it's what we have to do, right? So
Right.
just kind of explaining to them as best as you can that you need to maintain your identity, which is, one of the things that you first said. Don't ever let anyone take away who you are. Love what you love, do what you do, and you don't have to become one with anyone, whether it be friends or lovers or what have you.
Yeah.
Um, and then just don't ever allow anyone to disrespect you. And, just being aware of what that looks like and helping them to just build their esteem so that they know, which is tough at teenhood. Most teens have low self-esteem, but and then also I try to show them that having a person isn't the end all be all. Like
No,
that doesn't
it's not. It is not.
matter, like
It
it's
doesn't.
easy to see that now, at 39 versus then, and I get that. But I think planting these planting these thoughts now, and then that helps them hopefully, we'll see, but hopefully that helps them see quicker and sooner when things are not going like they should be. So,
It'll make them more alert and more aware
yeah, yeah,
instead of immediately making an excuse.
yeah,
I
yeah,
know it's full of them. It's like, I can't make it. I have nothing left. There's nothing else. Okay, okay. Well, I guess that's another excuse. But the one of actually, I missed a really big one. Of course, like you said, nobody wants to talk about it, but the forcing or trying to coercion into sexual acts is definitely a huge red flag in teen dating bonds because a lot of depends on who it is, whoever the aggressor is, they can kind of try to manipulate their partner into having sex with them just because they feel like they're entitled for whatever reason,
Mhm.
and then they try to use it. Well, you don't love me, or you know you must want somebody else, or and
Mm,
that's where the coercion comes from. It's like, well, I don't want them to think that I'm not into them, or I'm worried that they'll go to someone else and dump me or what have you. But if that is what it takes to be dumped by somebody for your comfort level to be, infiltrated or what, I'm trying to think of the best way to say it, but
mhm.
for you to be
Yeah,
uncomfortable, to make them comfortable, then maybe it's best and
yeah,
learn from it. You changing who you are or changing what you believe in or what you feel comfortable with doing or not doing is not up to someone else to decide. It is not up for someone else to try to make you feel like they deserve your private. That, I mean, that's still another portion of privacy. Like, that is your body. You don't owe anybody anything. And a lot of teens struggle with that. And unfortunately, I think we've all struggled with it at some point and or another. So it's the power, it's said in my house a lot, the power of saying no. Power
Mhm.
in saying no. A lot of adults still have issues with that. I mean, that's something that I still struggle with.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, okay, no, I really don't want to do that, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Mhm.
No, you have to have, there's a lot of power in that little two-letter word. And
Mhm.
if someone cannot get on board with it or is respectful enough for your
Yeah,
decision, not saying that could break whatever it is. It's just, you know what, I'm not ready for it. And it should drop
yeah.
at,
It should
at that point. It should not be spoken about. It should not be,
Mhm.
okay, well, let's think about it this way, or let's only do this and not that. No, no, no.
Yeah.
That's another important thing to talk to your teens about is um, being coerced into sexual acts. And it's
Yeah.
something that you can't take back. So it's very important to understand the
Mhm.
power of no.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm trying to, it's like I said, it's hard. I'm trying to push it with my daughter because she struggles with it. You know, I really didn't want to do that. You could have said no. You could have said no. It's okay. So, but that was
Yeah.
one of the biggest ones. Yeah, we got to watch that.
I see, I used to be a people pleaser for
Yes,
up until the last few years, honestly, and I see a lot of that in Aiden. You know, the good kids are typically just people pleasers. Not that they're
yes,
not good kids. They are good kids, but they're also people pleasers.
yeah, of
And that often leads to them being easy victims for
course.
abusive partners or friends or
Hmm.
bosses,
I
all the
seriously think it starts off with friends because these fifth graders at my daughter's school. You don't have to. You don't have to do that. No, 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 no. Well, they're my friend, and it's like, I guess that could be used in any context. It
yeah.
could be with the friends too. It's I see a lot of that in my daughter too. It's like you can say no. You don't
Mhm.
have to. You don't have to. If someone doesn't want to be your friend because of something so small and minute, then they are not your friend. And I always tell them, how many friends I've had since I was little, you know, these relationships will change and that's
Mhm.
okay. And I think that's where she's kind of stuck on, well, this person is supposed to be my best friend. It's supposed to be my best friend forever. And it's like, no, 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 it's okay. A lot of people have those friendships, those are good friendships, but there's so
It's
many people. There's
yeah.
so many people,
There's so much time. They just have no idea how much time they
they have
have.
no idea. And it's like friendships should not be something that makes you want to cry.
Mm-mm.
That
Mm-mm.
is not a friendship. So I'm glad she's starting to, you know what? I'm gonna hang out with people who don't treat me this way.
Good.
So it's always a work in progress. It really is, but
Mhm.
we have to be that support for them or get them someone who can.
Yeah.
Sometimes I mean, we don't know what we're doing from day to day.
Mhm.
So getting them support in any way is it's better for them
Where would
to be
you,
able to do that.
is there a website or anything that parents could utilize to kind of read more about teen
Mhm.
dating violence?
So the website, I want to make sure I say this correctly. It's loveisrespect.org. And
Okay.
actually coming up is teen dating violence. It's Respect Week 2021. So they do this campaign every year. And I actually um, just found out about the campaign 2 years ago. I have no idea why, but I did. Better late than never. So starting on the 8th, so it's from the 8th to the 12th. And it's each day. I'm going to have it up on my Facebook page too,
Okay.
on my organization's Facebook page. And then I'm probably going to share it to mine, of course, just to continue to get the word out. But the Monday is respect announcement. It's just basically the campaign this year is know your worth. And I'm so excited about that. They do a different one every single year, a different slogan.
Yeah.
And this year, of course, is know your worth. And it's basically trying to have a different take on, instead of saying don't. Okay, how do you feel about yourself?
Yes.
Your value.
Yes.
So let's look at it from this point of view. And I love this campaign this year. I'm so excited about it. So on Monday, you just make your respect announcement, how you feel about yourself. And then on Tuesday is Wear Orange Day. Orange is the color for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. It is, of course, different from the purple for October. And so wear orange, post to your social media, and then share your worth on Wednesday. This is another one. The first one is kind of like a tagline, the Real Housewives tagline. I know it's a horrible reference, but it's almost like a tagline, this is me. And then, of course, you have sharing your worth is going a little bit more in depth about your worth and how do you feel about yourself, and basically the individuality that you do have, how this is who you are and what you want. And nobody's going to be able to change that. They can mold themselves, and you can share a life, but don't let anybody change you. The respect challenge is, of course, tagging your friends and sharing respectful, quotations, and just a lot of, they they have on here like sing a song and create a dance and all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, we're in the TikTok era, so I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be doing that. I may sit that one out, but we'll see. I might have my daughter do it. So that is on Thursday. And then Friday is, of course, love yourself, to take care of yourself, which is a lot of what you do. Your business is a lot of self-respect, self-care, knowing your body, knowing how to make sure you are healthy mind, spiritually, just in all aspects. So it's almost like a self-care day, as on Friday, of course, take care of yourself. So that week, I am really excited about to share that. And my page will be pretty saturated with it. And just like I do in October, I try to keep up with it as much as possible. I've learned the scheduling tool, so I'm excited about it, to schedule all the posts, just to keep the information out there, because at the end of the day, this is a very taboo subject.
You're going to be doing a couple of lives.
Huh?
You're going to be doing a couple of
Yes, I am. Thank you for bringing that up, because I wasn't going to plug it, but I'm going to go ahead and plug it.
Called accountability. So Safe Haven Domestic Violence Center is the page. We will post the link in the comments so you can easily access it. And so it will be the week after this airs that the all the fun stuff happens that Annie's talking about. And so, you guys participate and share, because awareness is just that, being aware, knowing that this is a real situation. And any of us who have kids, the last thing we want is for them to end up in a situation like this. And it could easily happen to anybody at any age. I know that people always think that would never happen to me, but it can. And the last thing you want is for it to happen to your babies or any babies that you know and love. Amen. So, better babies, better teens make better adults, make a better world. And so, like Annie's page, keep up with all of the fun stuff that's happening. Wear orange on February 8th, 9th, 9th.
10.
Sorry.
No, 9th. You're right. It's the 9th.
Yeah. Wear orange on February 9th.
On the 9th.
Share it on social media.
Yes.
Again, awareness is key, and we all know, or I shouldn't say we all know, but domestic violence is much more talked about than teen, and because we all think that teens are silly and stupid and all that, but the truth is they're our future, and we want to take care of them as best as we can. So thank you, Annie, for all the work that you do. You know,
Yeah.
I get to hear a tiny bit about some of the work you do, and I'm beyond grateful to have you as a friend personally, but also to know you because you are an amazing human. And
Yeah.
I'm very excited for what you have coming up this month so that we can really start to affect change and get some conversations going amongst the adults and teens, because that's the only way that we're going to help make any of this any better. So
I just like to say thank you for having me to be able to talk about this. Like I said, it's such a subject that nobody really wants to talk about it because it's so I mean, it's been a pandemic for a long time, I guess, if I can. You know, and it has affected people for a while, and it affects so many people that no one really wants to talk about it.
mhm,
So being able to speak about it, you know, with you, that has, I mean, I've been so excited about this. And um, you know, if anybody ever even needs for me to be a buffer for you and your child, I can help. Either get you resources or try to, you know, just kind of help talk to them, because a lot of the times, you know, they don't want to talk to their parents. So, you know, don't give up. Just, you know, exhaust every possible resource you can to help them. Like you said, you know, we don't want it to manifest into something that is harder to get out of. Um, After a while, you know, we're
mhm.
human. Things happen. So, like you said, you know, just a little bitty drop of information could help somebody. I don't care if I'm talking to 12,000 people and only one person heard me, and
Mhm.
it's able to understand and to make a change or to help a friend or anything like that. So, um, you know, my information is public. If anybody ever needs me, my client base is not solely the Gulf Coast, and
Mhm.
um, I help any and all victims. So if hopefully, I mean, hopefully my phone doesn't ring, you know, I would hope that this is over, but it's unfortunately it's not.
Right.
So yeah, let's just like keep having the conversation about it, because that's what is needed to stop the stigma, you know, to stop the embarrassment about it. Like we have to talk about it. So,
Yeah.
but thank you for that. I'm excited to get the word out more.
Excellent. If anybody has any questions for Annie, or, you know, feels inclined to reach out to her, her contact info will be in the comments as well. Truly, she is, everything's confidential. Everything is, you know, top notch. And so you don't have to worry about any of that.
My
She,
organization is, of course, under, you know, we have to abide by HIPAA. So, same as if you're going to your doctor's office, you
yeah,
know, it is completely confidential.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And
I
like
just
she,
wanted to say that.
yeah, like she
Because I
said,
don't
it's
think
not,
people realize that I should probably like put a HIPAA seal on my icon so people know like I'm not we are not allowed to talk about who contacts us. And even if you want to get a safety plan together, I can help you with that. Um, Even if you just want to kind of go over options, I can help you with that. But there is never any judgment if you are not ready to vacate your situation, or if you need help with your teen, as far as what is going on, because I know it's everywhere. So um, call me about anything, and I'll see, I'll try to help you, or get you to someone who can. So
awesome, awesome. Well, thank you again, Annie, and thank you to all of you. This was an excellent two-part interview, and I hope that some of you learned a little bit, and I hope that, you know, just pass it on, because you never know who's in the situation. So having these conversations, having them at the water cooler, having them online, that's how things are going to change. So thank you, Annie. Thank you, all of y'all. I love you, Annie. I love all of y'all. And I will see you guys next week.